Mr. Crown.
Good afternoon.
I'm sure you know who I am.
Yes, I do.
All right. This session is going to be recorded. I hope you don't mind.
Not at all.
All right. Well, let's get started. All right. State your name for the camera, please.
Albert James Crown.
And your date of birth.
August 22nd, 1978.
All right. I would like to start with your childhood.
What do you want to know?
Well, tell me how it was growing up. Tell me what your family was like.
Growing up wasn't fun. The only memories I have imprinted in my mind are the times that my father would come home and beat me. Or do you want to hear about the times that he would come home drunk and rape my sister? He'd tie me to a chair and have me watch. And if I were to look away or even close my eyes, he would beat her as he raped her. Is that what you want to know?
Where was your mother in all of this?
My mother was working in a bar. She was never home when my father began his routine.
Did she ever find out about what your father was doing?
I never talked to her about it.
And what about your sister? Did she ever talk to her about it?
She never said a single word to anyone.
Why not?
Our father, he had us like prisoners. We weren't allowed to go outside, talk to the neighbors. He never let us do anything. I don't know why he did it, but those were his rules.
When was the last time that you saw your sister?
Last time I saw her, I was 6. That's when she killed herself.
And why did she do that?
She was pregnant with our father's child, and she couldn't bear to know what she was going to become. So she hung herself in her room.
And what happened to your father?
He left a week later. Never came back. Left my mother with unpaid bills, a dead daughter, and a son to raise, all on her own. So she started to whore the streets, make quick money.
Why didn't you tell your mother what was happening to your sister?
Because I was only 6 years old. I didn't know what was going on. What are you supposed to do when the man that's supposed to be protecting you is hurting you? My mother did what she did to pay the bills.
And how did you find out your mother was working as a prostitute?
Kids from school, they would pick on me because they would see my mother getting in the cars with different men every night.
Did she ever bring any of them home?
A few times.
And how did that make you feel?
It made me feel sick to my stomach.
So, how was school? Did you have any friends?
No one wanted to be my friend. Everybody knew what my mother did for a living. And if they weren't talking behind my back, they were looking at me with these faces of disgust. Like they didn't even want to be in the same room with me. There was only one person that would never judge me, and her name was Sandy Rose. I remember the first time I met her. It was the first day of school our junior year. She sat down next to me and presented herself. We became friends, only friends. That's all she ever saw in me.
Did she know what your mother did for a living?
She did, but she never said anything. My mother loved her.
Why was that?
Because she could see how happy Sandy made me.
Did you guys keep in touch after high school?
Yeah, we did. But a lot of things changed.
Like what?
Well, I started working a really good job, and my mother stopped whoring around. And Sandy was with me day in and day out.
So you could say, honestly, that was the first time that you were happy.
It was, but like they say, everything has to come to an end, and it did.
What exactly came to an end?
My happiness.
Can you tell me what happened that made you unhappy?
My mother became very sick. She spent most of her time in the hospital. I remember it started off like any other day. I got up, got ready for work, and I called the hospital to check on my mother. I talked to her doctor, and he told me that her health was improving. I felt such a relief when he said those words. But as soon as I got to work, my supervisor told me he wanted to speak with me. He told me that he had to let half of the staff go, and that unfortunately I was going to be one of them. I remember feeling like a worthless man when he fired me. I went home, and as soon as I arrived, the phone rang. I answered it was Sandy. She said she wanted to speak to me. Said there's something really important that she wanted to tell me in person, that it was great news. So I told her I'd wait for her. She arrived to the house, I let her in, she started telling me about how she had just gotten the dream job of her life. But it meant she had to move to New York. I'll admit, I was surprised and I did become lightheaded. But that's when the phone rang. I went to my room to go and answer the call. It was my mother's doctor telling me she had just passed away. That's when Sandy came into the room and asked me if everything was okay. I explained to her what had just happened. She walked over to me and began to hug me. That's when I tried to kiss her.
Why did you try to kiss her?
I'm not quite sure.
How did she react to it?
She backed away and asked what I was doing. She said that it wasn't right and that she didn't see me that way. She saw me more as a brother. And you know that no man ever likes to hear that from a woman, especially one that they like. And that's when she did it. She looked at me with this face, the same one that the kids in school would give me. She was disgusted. She didn't want to be in the same room. And that's when I lost it. I started to choke her. She fought back, but I was too strong for her. I didn't stop till I saw the last sparkle of life leave her eyes.
Did you realize that you just confessed to a
Don't
murder?
ever interrupt me ever again. Do you want me to finish my story?
Yeah, I do. I'm sorry about that. Please continue.
After I knew she was dead, I dragged her lifeless body to the restroom where I placed her in the tub. I went to the garage, grabbed a saw, walked back inside, and began to cut her body into pieces.
Why did you cut her into pieces?
So it would be easier for me to dispose of the body.
And where did you dispose of the body?
That's the thing. I scattered it all over the mountains of Green Oak.
And what was the purpose behind that?
So that whoever would try finding her body would have a hell of a time putting the pieces back together.
Did anyone report her missing?
Her parents?
And what? Nobody thought of you at all as a suspect?
No. Remember, at the time, my mother had just passed away, and her family said I was going through enough grief. So they held it from me for about a month.
Why did you kill her?
Because it's just something I had to do. It was my desire. I did what I wanted to do.
I don't understand how you killed someone that you say you had feelings for.
That's right. I loved her. I killed her. And that's that. There's nothing to understand.